May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, we'll recite the Ye Dharma mantra, essence of dependent origin mantra 3 times. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Okay, continuation from where we left the first session. The mind which we come to know as clear knowing. This mind, if we examine our minds on a daily basis, since we rise up in the morning, we just examine what our mind is like, whether disturbed or whether calm. And interestingly, this mind, we have to know that finally, this morning, in great detail, we discussed as to how our mind makes the whole difference. Meanwhile, this mind, which makes the difference within us, that you are happy, not happy, that you are cognitively very fresh, not fresh, we see that this mind, in terms of the functions, again there are 2. One which is cognitive in nature. Of course, don't worry. What is cognitive? Don't worry. One is cognitive in nature, and the other one is affective in nature. Cognitive in nature is the one which gives us the basic direction, and then our affective mind, that is one which moves. For example, if I say that, okay, Mount Kailash is there, and there are 2 people. I tell the 2 of them that, okay, this is Mount Kailash. And then one person seeing the Mount Kailash. Before I pointed to the Mount Kailash, both of them, they are very normal. Then when I say that this is Mount Kailash, one person becomes extremely excited and the other person is very just as normal. So both of them know that, okay, that is Mount Kailash. Cognitively, meaning that they know, both of them know that this is Mount Kailash. So cognitively, both are active. But this cognitive thought process, knowing that that is Mount Kailash, whether that triggers the enthusiasm, the curiosity, the excitement, that is the next one. That is the affective side, affective facet of the mind. Whereas the mind which says, this Mount Kailash, okay, this Mount Kailash, this is the cognitive element of the mind, or the cognitive facet of the mind. After the cognitive facet, then the affective side. Affective means move. Okay, I must go there. Oh, I'm so lucky that I come to know that Mount Kailash is now right next to me. I must go there. So the movement. Again, the movement is also driven by your mind. So the mind which makes it move, that is the cognitive side of the mind. And the other one is the mind which which allows you to, which creates a condition for your mind to move. That is the cognitive side, that this is Mount Kailash. Okay, let us say that, I'm sure that amongst the audience participants here, some of you are very interested. Some of you are very interested in flowers. Some of you are not. Some of you, the moment I pick up the flower, you feel bored. Again, what is this? Again, a flower. So whereas some of you, very excited. Wow, it's so beautiful. He's always so keen to pick up a flower. Okay, so I pick up this object and I ask you, what is this? All of you, whether you like flower, whether you don't like flower, you'll all say that this is flower. That is the cognitive side. The cognitive element of your mind, that this is flower. Cognitive. After the cognitive, then the affective works. Then I ask, okay, this beautiful flower, and some of you will say it's so-so. Some of you will say it's beautiful, it's amazing. It's amazingly beautiful. So that is the affective side. So for one person, the affective side can be after the cognitive side being very clear. In both cases, the cognitive side is very clear that this is flower. But one person gets excited, one person doesn't get excited. So that is determined by the affective side. In other words, within the mind, we see that there are two sides. One is cognitive and the other one is affective. It is very important that, say, with the factors for the affective side intact, for example, the person A. Okay, let's say Sumitla. Okay, Sumit Mehta. Sumit ji, let's say that he likes flowers. Anyway, he has very flower-like mind. So he likes flower. So when I don't show the flower, then he is calm. Okay, he is okay, just normal. Then I say, okay, Sumila, what is this? Then Sumila will give, with a smile, he will give the answer that this is a flower, with a smile. So this smile is activated. This smile is activated because of seeing the flower. Seeing the flower. So before seeing the flower, his face was just normal. So this affective side was activated after the cognitive side. Affective side of the mind, the affinity for the flower, that is activated after seeing the flower. That is a cognitive knowledge of the flower that activates the affective element, affective inclination of the mind. So in other words, what I'm saying is that within the mind, there are two sides. One is the cognitive and the other one is affective. And the cognitive side is very important for us. Cognitive side is very important. Cognitive side determines your affective side. For example, some people instead of the flower, some people may like iPhone 11. Of course, this is not iPhone 11. Don't worry, this is not iPhone 11. So some people, they like the iPhone 11 over the flower. So when I show this flower, the people are least interested. I drop it and pick up an iPhone 11, then they become excited. Okay, so there again, some people, the affective side of the mind can be activated by one set of the cognitive side of the mind, whereas for others, the affective side of the mind can be activated by a certain, let's say, the cognitive, the cognition, the mind cognizing the flower, or the cognitive mind become activated with the seeing the flower. So there, our mind is divided into two, and is very important for us. For example, let's say that, what is this? Some of you say that this is a glass of water, and some may say this half of glass. So somebody failed to fill this up. Okay, so it's just a glass of water, and some will say that this is H2O, and some will say that this is electrons, protons, neutrons. All three are correct. All three are correct. Okay, but believe it or not, this is very important. When you see this is a glass of water, say the affective mind. Of course, our affective mind can be activated. Oh, I like this. Particularly, it's very hot. I like to drink it, and I like to drink it. this is there. And then there is as when we say that, oh, this is H2O, then the object becomes subtler. Cognitive side of the mind, object of the cognitive mind, that object becomes subtler. Then when you say this is electrons, protons, neutrons, it becomes even subtler. And then from the point of view of understanding how even these electrons, protons, neutrons, they are also coming from your mind. When you know that, it becomes very subtle. As the object becomes subtler, the affective mind also becomes subtle. It becomes extremely subtle. It becomes very extreme. So therefore, how cognitive side of the mind, how subtly it goes, that determines how subtle our affective mind becomes. This is extremely important point. Now, from this, let's say that I'm going to give just a very quick overview of what's the benefit of studying this affective side of the mind and the cognitive side of the mind. How the cognitive side of the mind, cognitive side meaning that the knowledge, your mind knows the object. Your mind knows the object, and as the object becomes subtler, then your mind also becomes subtler. Object becomes subtler, the mind becomes subtler, then the corresponding affective side of the mind also becomes subtler. So the experience of the joy, experience of the peace becomes subtler. So this is what happens there. So with this in mind, let's say that some of you in your family, some of you do some plays, or not really plays. Let's say that what is that? Say the put on that guise as a ghost. Put on the guise as a ghost, and then your father is coming in, and the father gets in, and the father thinks that is just himself, and suddenly you appear as a ghost, and the father, there's tremendous fear there, and thinking that this, so what is that? This goes there, and then you remove the veil, and then the father sees that you are the person. Instantly, that fear subsides. The fear subsides. This is how we can manage our fear. This is how we manage our emotions, how we manage our tension, anxiety, depression, and so forth. So, how initially there was so much fear there, and then the fear subsides. Why? Why the fear? Because seeing the ghost. Why the fear subsides? Because realizing that it's not a ghost, it's my daughter, it's my son. Realizing that, then the fear dissolves. So cognitively, you see something as a ghost, then the affective side, which the fear arises. Cognitively, when you know that is not a ghost, it's just my son, daughter, whatever, then the fear dissolves. So cognitive mind having a tremendous effect in managing your affective mind, and the affective mind decides whether you're happy or non-happy person. So that is all decided. This all on the basis of the manifestation of the affective mind, and the affective mind is determined by the cognitive mind. So in short, we see that the cognitive mind is what we call as wisdom or the intelligence, wisdom or the ignorance. It can be wisdom or it can be ignorance. It can distort the reality, or it can see the reality as it is. When it distorts, it becomes ignorance, and the outcome of that, the affective side, is fear, unease, and you see the reality more closely. Then the affective side is the peace and tranquility. So this is how the managing the cognitive thought process, it helps us to manage the affective thought process that decides whether you are anxiety-free, whether you are calm, easygoing, happy-going. This is all they're decided by this psychology. So with this in mind, we're going to study the classification of the cognitive side of the mind, and in a pursuit of our happiness, we require, our mind is involved with the pursuit of the happiness, with the pursuit of getting rid of our miseries. The mind is involved. And this mind has two sides, as we said earlier, cognitive and affective. And traditionally speaking, in the Buddhist, in the parlance of the Buddhist tradition, traditionally speaking, we talk about the method side of the path and the wisdom side of the path. In other words, say the pursuit meaning the path. Pursuit of happiness, path to happiness. Technically speaking, is path to happiness. In a vernacular language, it's a pursuit of happiness. So, path to happiness, what degree of happiness? 10%, 20%, 50%, or 100%? If possible, 100%. If possible, 100%. So this 100% happiness that we are talking about is known as the full awakening state. Fully awakened state where your the treasure of happiness within us, the treasure of happiness, it manifests completely. Where the gold, when mixed with the soil, remove the soil completely, the gold becomes radiant, fully radiant. So this is what we are aspiring. For that matter, we have what we said earlier this morning was that for this gold, to make this gold to radiate fully, it must be freed from the dirt, from the mud. Remove the mud. How to remove the mud? This mud is nothing but the mud of your own mind. And this mud of the mind, they hover around misperception and the subtle stains of misperception. So the misperception and the subtle stains of misperception must be rectified by the counterforce. The darkness of the ignorance can only be eliminated by introducing the counterforce, which is the light of the wisdom. So the question is, what is the light of the wisdom? So this light of the wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. What's the reality? What's the reality? When I ask what is the reality, we are talking about the cognitive element of the mind. Cognitive element of the mind and its object. When you don't see the object correctly, you are cognitively erroneous. When you see the object correctly, you are cognitively the correct, cognitively proper. So, and then the object, how profound is the object? How subtle is the object? That determines how subtle is your cognitive thought process. Say, what is this? Water is correct. What is this? This is H2O. This is correct. What is this? Electrons, protons, neutrons is also correct. What is this? This is empty of objective reality. Empty of independent reality. This is again very correct. But while all these four layers are correct, the last one is the subtlest reality. You experience that reality, and believe it or not, you will have goosebumps on your body. You experience the reality that everything is coming from my mind. Nothing is really there from the object. When you realize this, you will feel the goosebumps on your body. You will feel the tickling sensation on the surface of the skin of your body. You can see the flow. You can see the flow. Experience the flow of the flow of extremely pleasant waves, cold waves flowing through your body. So this is all by cognitively seeing the object in its subtler forms. So for that, what we need to learn is the classifications of the mind on the basis of the cognitive element, which in the traditional text is referred to as the wisdom side, wisdom side of the path, wisdom path and the method path. Within the path, pursuit of the full awakening state, there are two requirements of the path. One is the method, one is the wisdom. Wisdom is the cognitive side, and the method is the affective side. So these are two things required for the pursuit of what is technically known as the awakened state or the Buddhahood, or in vernacular psychology, we can say the pursuit of happiness to get rid of our miseries. Okay. Okay, so now knowing that finally who we are, whether happy, not happy, that is determined by your affective side of the mind. And what determines the affective side of the mind? What determines the quality of the affective side of the mind? That is determined by the quality of the cognitive side of the mind. How, in the first place, whether it's cognitively erroneous mind or cognitively correct mind, And once we see that it's cognitively non-erroneous, then how profound is the reality which the cognitive mind cognizes? How profound is the reality? So for that matter, we're going to learn what is known as the 7 divisions of the mind. 7 divisions of the mind. Okay, so that is related to the cognitive side of the mind. And once we know how the cognitive side of the mind is classified, on that basis, then you will see how to trigger the corresponding affective side of the mind. Okay, so I'm sure that on one side of the screen, you can see the 7 divisions of the mind, which are all the cognitive element of the mind. Okay, first we have, I'm
sorry, we can't see because I don't have them.
Okay, there's the few minutes, not few minutes, don't worry, few seconds delay there.
Okay, but I don't think if we wanted to zoom, then because the hosting is here, so it will only show on YouTube if you.
Oh, okay, not on Zoom. Okay. So which means that don't worry. Okay, then if you cannot see that, is even better. So that then I can say wrong things. Okay, you two people can see.
Yeah, if someone can send it to me by email, then I can share it on the screen.
Okay, yes. They'll send it to you. Yes, he's sending it. Thank you. Okay. So usually.
Geshe,
yes.
If it can be shared from your side. Depends if you have the share screen button.
Okay,
if you do, it can be shared.
No, I don't see that.
When you set up, if it was stopped or not.
I don't know, but let's hope so. Yeah.
Okay, it is all managed by the host.
We were testing this, so that's why I said.
Okay,
that,
so Maria, I requested the IT staff to send it to Mariela. Then Maria will. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now we have the list of the 7 minds there. And I'm not going to go into too detail of this list, but of course we have to study these. This will be very helpful for us. First, I will give a very brief, very quick idea of each of these 7 minds, and then I will ask 1 or 2 questions to you. Okay, the first thing is, first let me just enumerate what they are. There's 7, the minds, the classification of the minds into 7. The first one is direct, valid perceiver. Don't worry too much about what exactly is that. Don't worry. Just you can speculate. You can speculate what they are for the time being, and we can go into more detail later. The first one is direct, valid perceiver. Number 2 is inferential cognizer. Okay, direct valid perceiver like this. What is there in my hand? A flower. How do you know that? I can directly see this. I can directly see this. Okay, this is one example. Good. Next one is inferential cognizer. Okay. Do you have lungs? Yes. How do you know that? I can see that. No, you cannot see that. You have never seen your lungs in your life. But how do you know that you have lungs? Oh, that's a good question. I know that I have, but I don't know how to explain it. Okay, I can breathe. I can breathe. So the air comes out and comes in, comes out, comes in. There's a machine inside which does that work. That machine is the lungs. Perfect. You are not seeing it, but you can infer it. That is number 2, inferential cognizer. Number 3, subsequent cognizer. Let's say that the E equals mc square. This is what Albert Einstein said like 100 years ago. He said it. Now, in those days, during the Albert Einstein's time, E equals mc square, how many people know that? During his time, only about 3 people. Only about 3 people, not more. Now, how many people know that? Thousands and thousands of people know that. So they are all imitating what Albert Einstein said. So these are the subsequent cognizers. They are not the original cognizers, they are the subsequent cognizers. Number 3. Number 4, correctly assuming consciousness. Correctly assuming consciousness. Okay, if you tell me, oh, where is the lady Changjula from? If somebody asks me, where is this lady Changjula from? Then I mean, okay, yeah, Lady Changjula, she is from America. Then you ask, are you sure? Yes, I'm dead sure. But if somebody really asks me, how do you know that he's in America? I have no clue. So I just had a very strong belief that she's from America. That's it. So it's what is known as correctly, I don't know whether it's correct or not. Changjula from America? From where? England. From where, Changjula? Switzerland. Then okay. Let's say that Changjula is from Switzerland. I have a very strong feeling that she's from Switzerland, but I have no clue. If somebody asks me, press me, how do you know that she's from Switzerland? Then I have no reason, but I have a very strong feeling that she's from Switzerland. So that is like a correctly assuming consciousness. Number 4. Then number 5. Okay. For the time being, they don't try to correlate. Okay, he will ask question later on. I must know the verse first, verse second, verse third. Don't worry. Just try to focus on what is being said on the spot. On the spot, try to understand it. And then the moment I move to the next, even if that escapes, even if that leaves your mind, don't worry. Don't worry, you already left a very strong imprint in your mind. That is what is required. Next one is non-discerning direct perception. Non-discerning direct perceiver, which means that, okay, let's say that you are listening to me. You're listening to me now. And then suddenly your mother says that, oh, there's a very exciting thing coming up. And then your mind is pulled by what your mother is saying. So although your eyes are just on the screen, but your mental consciousness is pulled away by what your mother is saying. So your eye consciousness, although it is there, just on the screen, but it does not discern anything. Then somebody asks you, what are you seeing now? No, I'm not aware what is there in front of me. So this is known as non-discerning direct perception. When your mental consciousness is after something else, then your sense consciousness or the eye consciousness, seeing what is in front, that cannot really discern what is there. So this is known as non-discerning direct perception. The next one is, okay, what we are doing now, this interaction, is this really happening or this is just a dream? It can be dream. I can't really imagine that there's going to be such a, the discussion happening on Zoom. Maybe it's a dream. I must be dreaming. So that's doubt. Next is a doubt. And then finally you said, no, 100% it is dream. This is a distorted consciousness. So there are 7. Number 1 is direct sense perceiver. No, direct valid perceiver. Number 1 is direct valid perceiver. Number 2 is inferential cognizer. Number 3 is subsequent cognizer. Number 4 is correctly assuming consciousness. Number 5 is non-discerning direct perception. Number 6 is doubting consciousness. And number 7 is distorted consciousness. Okay, 7. Now my question to you. Okay, Mariela, would you mind making all the sounds unmute?
Yes,
okay.
I have unmuted everyone,
okay.
But then people keep on opening their
okay.
microphone. so
Thank
we
you.
have to constantly. So please, everyone, keep your microphones on silent, please.
Okay. My question to you is, there are these 7 minds. 7 minds. So from top to the bottom. From top to the bottom. Or let's say, better would be from bottom to the top. Bottom to top. Okay, now everything is there. The first one is direct valid perceiver. Number 2 is inferential cognizer. Number 3 is subsequent cognizer. Number 3 is correctly assuming consciousness. Number 5 is non-discerning direct perceiver. Number 6, doubting consciousness. Number 7, deceptive or wrong consciousness. 7. My question to you is, tell me, from the 7 to number 1, going from number 7 to number 1, can you tell me can you guess as to why is this order like this? Number 7 to number 1. On what basis? On what basis you think that these 7 consciousnesses or the 7 minds, these are put in this particular order? Anybody? Anybody?
Is it a division? Can I speak?
Yes.
Is it a division from the senses inwards?
Okay, on what basis?
So direct valid perceiver is basically it is sense consciousness.
Okay.
Differential cognitive thinking. So it's going from the senses to thought.
Okay, good. Good, very good. Anybody else? I want at least 2 or 3 answers. Okay, Emilia?
I think it's as if it was a path from the grosser level until we get to the correct, which is direct valid perceiver.
Okay, from the gross to the correct.
More subtler.
Okay, it becomes progressively. It becomes subtler. Progressively, it becomes subtler. This is what he's saying. Very good. Okay, last. Anybody last?
One view was that perhaps there's a kind of
Yes. Aripeka?
7th and 6th, and yeah, so it's more when we go towards the number 1.
Your sound breaks. Can you say it again?
So I was thinking perhaps it's more clear when we come from 7 to 1.
Okay, from 7 to 1, as we grow, as we progressively go from 7 to 1, it becomes progressively clearer. Very good, yeah. Extremely good. Okay, good. I'm very happy. So the answer that you all gave, they are in one way or the other, they're all correct. Okay. So what I like to say is that it is good for us. It is good for us. Say our mind. Say overall speaking, your mind is happy, not happy, so or so happy, so not happy. Just see what that is like. Number 1. Number 2 is look at these 7, and then see your mind. Predominantly, your mind is where? Number 7, number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just see. So if your mind is predominantly number 1, which means it tells us something. Whereas if our mind is predominantly number 7, which means that is something. And I can say that if we are unhappy, our mind is predominantly around the baseline. Whereas if our mind is predominantly on the upper side, we are more happy, we are more calm person. Okay, this is extremely important psychology. Okay, now I'll go into more detail, because some of you may not be knowing, what are these. I don't know what they are, and he's talking about if you are on the top level, bottom level. I can't even know what are the bottom. Or the first one, direct valid perceiver. Direct valid perceiver. We see that our mind, our mind, when it say for this I would say that the first we need this one. Okay, our mind, for this mind is a subject. Given there is a subject, it should have the object. It should have the object. And the object of the mind, it is of three kinds. Object of the mind is of three kinds. One is evident phenomena. Number two is slightly hidden phenomena. And number three is very hidden phenomena. Let me say this again. Our mind is a subject, and for every subject there should be the object. And the object, there are three kinds. One is evident phenomena. Number two is slightly hidden phenomena. Number three is very hidden phenomena. Three. What is evident phenomena? Evident phenomena are those phenomena which we can know directly without the help of reasons. For example, what is this? Some people may say that he must be holding a flower. But it's not a flower, it's a bunch of keys. Okay, how do you know that this is a bunch of keys? I can see that directly. So this is known as the evident phenomena. Phenomena which our mind cognizes directly without having to depend on reasons. That is the evident phenomena. Now let's say your lungs are evident phenomena, or your lungs are evident phenomena or not. With respect to our mind now, this is not evident phenomena. We cannot see it. We can infer it. Okay, the first one is, and then what about this flower? Evident phenomena or not? Evident or not? Yes, this is evident phenomena. I can know directly. What about the screen in front of you? That's also evident phenomena. I can know directly. Now the second class of phenomena is known as slightly hidden phenomena. For example, when we see a smoke, from there you can infer fire. So where otherwise you see a house in front of you all the time, and today very unconventionally, unusually, today there's a lot of smoke coming out of this house. Oh, the house must be on fire. You're not seeing the fire, but from seeing the presence of the smoke, you can infer the presence of the fire. So that fire, you do not see directly, but you could infer it. So this kind of phenomena is known as slightly hidden phenomena. For example, like say, what is this? There's water. This H2O. Yes, this is H2O. How do you know that? I can't see it as H2O, two hydrogen and one oxygen. I cannot see that. But through chemical analysis and through the separation of the hydrogen and oxygen through the electrical appliances, then we see that, okay, so this is nothing but hydrogen and oxygen. So this we came to know through indirect ways, through reasoning. So those things, those phenomena, which we can know, which our mind knows through reasonings of facts, through factual reasonings. Through factual reasonings, these are known as the slightly hidden phenomena. And third one is very hidden phenomena. Third one, very hidden phenomena. Okay, slightly hidden phenomena, let's say that, for example, okay, this is made of electrons, protons, neutrons. This is a fact, but we cannot see that. We can know this. So this is a slightly hidden phenomena. Likewise, our brains, when I'm talking to you, my brain is working. My brain is working, and the neurons are fired at different places. So this is also happening. I don't see it, but through the fMRI scan and so forth, I could infer that, okay, these things are happening there on the brain level. So these are the slightly hidden phenomena. And then finally, if somebody asks me, what is your birthday? I have no clue. Okay, my birthday, there's official birthday. Official birthday means it's not my birthday. Okay, so if I ask somebody who's very particular with a birthday, okay, the 27th of June, how do you know that this is your birthday? Then the person has no clue. The person may say that my mother told me, my dad told me, or the birthday certificate said it. This is not the reason. So this says where you have to trust somebody. You have to trust the certificate, or you have to trust your mother, you have to trust your father, you have to trust the medical doctor. So you have to trust. Yet you are born. No doubt you are born on this earth. There was a date on which you are born. That date you can know only through trusting somebody. You only through the testimony of somebody else's authority. So this is known as the very hidden phenomena. A very hidden phenomena are those phenomena which a mind cognizes through dependence on the testimony of the authority of somebody else's. This is a very hidden phenomena. So now we see that the phenomena which a mind cognizes, there are three categories, or in summary, in brief, there are in two categories. One is evident and one is hidden. And the first one of the seven minds that we are talking about, the direct valid perceiver. So there, the object is the evident phenomena. So the mind cognizes the evident phenomena, number one. But this is a very general presentation. Finally, as somebody said, as the Amelia said, and also the Pekka said that finally it is the progressively our mind is becoming subtler. Our mind is improving. Yes, finally all our mind should become the first one, direct valid perceiver. It's not only the evident phenomena, even with respect to the hidden phenomena. But for the time being, I'm explaining to you, direct valid perceiver are the perceivers which cognizes the evident phenomena. Number one. Then number two is inferential cognizer. Inferential cognizer are the valid perceiver which cognizes the hidden phenomena, be it slightly hidden phenomena or very hidden phenomena. Then number three is subsequent cognizer. Subsequent cognizer. This is very important. I like to share with you that first two, they are the valid cognizers, and the third one is the subsequent cognizer. What is the distinction? Valid cognizer. Okay, let's say that what we said earlier, Albert Einstein, E equals mc square. Or in other words, the relativity theory. Relativity theory, at the time of Albert Einstein, it was said that there were only three people who understood relativity theory, which Einstein proposed. And the Einstein and his friend, a physicist friend, two of them know the relativity theory so well. Then another person came to meet the friend of Albert Einstein and asked him, is it true that in this world there are only three people who understand relativity theory? And Einstein's friend did not respond. He did not say anything. And the other person asked him, is it not true? Then he said, wait, I'm thinking about who the third person is. Because Einstein was the one, then he himself knows the relativity theory, and he was wondering, it's only two. How come that there's third? Who could be the third person? In other words, what I'm saying is that in those days, there were only three people who understood the relativity theory. And today, how many people know the relativity theory? Everyone in the physics and the honors physics department, doing the physics honors, they all know the relativity theory. So now, what's the difference? Today, all these young people, age 20, 21, 23, they all know, in the physics department, they all know there's relativity theory. In those days, only three people know the relativity theory. Who is greater? Einstein's knowledge of the relativity theory is greater, or today's young people, 20, 21, they're all in the physics honors, they know the relativity theory. Whose knowledge is more refined? Of course, Einstein's, because that is the original idea. So, valid cognizers are those with the original ideas, the perceptions. Whereas the number 3, subsequent cognizers, these are the imitations of the earlier cognitions. This is number 3, subsequent cognizer. For example, let's say that, okay, the first time I met, let's say, I met Surindarji. First time I met Surindarji like 12 years ago in Mumbai. Okay, so, wow, very interesting, so kind, so warm-hearted. I was not really expecting somebody who's so kind to that extent. Now I meet him second time. I take for granted. I know that he's so kind. So this knowledge that I take him for granted for his kindness, this is because of, it's like the imitation, because I already knew that he's so kind from the day when I met him, like 12 years ago. So the later part of the knowledge, they become subsequent cognizers. The initial knowledge, that was the direct valid perceiver. Valid perceiver. Valid perceiver. Then number 4, correctly assuming consciousness. Oftentimes, this is a problem. Conflicts happen because of that. Say, for example, my religion is the best. Your religion is the secondary. We are the special ones. My ethnicity is special one. Yours is the secondary. So there's this sense of chauvinism. Mine one is the supreme. So that these are all because of very strong adherence to the one's own identities, and without a sound reason. So likewise, similar to that, but better than that, is a correctly assuming consciousness. For example, let's say that, say, if you practice compassion, you can become omniscient. Most of us, we believe in it. We believe very strongly in this. And of course, this is a correct belief. It's a correct. But if you look for the reasons, we may be lacking the reasons. It's not that there are no reasons. Reasons are there, but we don't have the reasons. Or some people, we don't have the reasons. So that then, in which case, it becomes correctly assuming consciousness. So therefore, in Buddhism, it's emphasized so much to know the reasons, to know, so believe in a concept, not just through belief, but through valid perceiver, direct valid perceiver, or through inferential cognizer. No, don't just stay there, although it's correct the information, but don't just remain there complacent, but rather go towards the number 1 and number 2. Then number 5. Number 5, non-discerning direct perceiver. I'm sure that most of us, we have that experience. For example, let's say that you are talking to somebody, and if you are not really interested in the other person's talk, you are more interested in something else, then you are just nodding your head, but you are actually listening. You are not paying attention. Your mind is somewhere else. Okay, this is where your eyes, and sometimes the person said that you're a horrible person, still you nod your head. Right? Okay. So this is where you are not really paying attention. You don't pay attention, but your eyes are so wide open to look at you, to look at the other person, but you're not paying attention. So you're not really seeing what is there. You're just nodding head. Your mind is going somewhere else. So that is known as the non-discerning direct perception. Okay. Just for information, what happened was that the 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when I was struggling to get the visa for France, I was in the VFS office, and on the counter there was the one girl there, and I asked something, and I could see from her body language that she has a non-discerning direct perception. Just from her body language, I can see that she's not paying attention to me. Her mind is directed somewhere, and still nodding her head like this. I can see that there's a non-discerning direct perception. So with the non-discerning direct perception, I've been waiting there for 3 hours. and this girl has the non-discerning direct perception. So therefore, I should make sure that this non-discerning direct perception must change to direct value perceiver. So unless that happens, my work will not be done. So my waiting there for 3 hours is going to be waste. So I just told her that, did you follow what I told you? Then she said, tell me again, what is that? Which means now she's ready. She's ready to go for the direct value perceiver. Okay, so this says the benefit. If you know the classification of the mind, in these 7 classifications of mind, then you can see whether the person is correctly assuming consciousness, or the non-discerning direct perception, or inferential cognizer. You can just see it very clearly. And then on that basis, you can fix it properly, and then you can get a benefit. Okay, then the number 6 is doubting consciousness. Doubting consciousness, okay, let's say, the law of karma. Does it really exist? We cannot see that. For example, let's say that law of karma says that if you do good, good things will happen. If you do bad, bad things will happen. But in the life, we see that those people who are doing good, they always suffer. Those people who are corrupted, they always benefit. They always succeed. So where is law of karma? So is it true that the law of karma actually exists? So this is a doubting consciousness. And then some people, they go to the other extreme, saying that no, law of karma doesn't make any sense. Look at this corrupted person. That person is enjoying the best, the greatest of luxury. And look at this so good person, suffering so much, whole life suffering. So where is the law of karma? So this is number 7, deceptive consciousness, wrong consciousness. Okay, these are the 7 classifications of the mind, and it's very important for us to, on a daily basis, just scan your mind and see that, okay, direct valid perceiver, when did it happen to me? This whole day. And then inferential cognizer. So on one occasions, this inferential cognizer happens, or my mind takes that form. Then number 3, subsequent cognizer. Then number 4, correctly assuming consciousness, non-discerning direct perceiver, doubting consciousness, deceptive wrong consciousness. Okay, so these are all very important to scan our mind and to see which is dominantly the mind within us, which of the 7 minds dominate our being. Then on that basis, to see how we can progress from number 7 through to number 6, eventually to number 1. This is so important. This is the meaning of gate gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhiswaha. Go from number 7 to number 6. Number 6 through to number 2 and number 1. This is the meaning of go beyond, go utterly beyond, and establish your full awakening of the cognitive thought process. This is how we have to progress. This is, in this connection, I'd like to then share with you. Okay, I think that's good enough. The next, what I'd like to do is that. Okay. Next, what I like to do is I like to go to the twofold divisions of the mind. Now, how the mind can be classified? How the mind can be classified into the twofold. Okay. So at the moment, what we did is that the mind classified into 7. Now, I'd like to go to explain the mind classified into 2 divisions. There are many ways of dividing into 2. For example, say the audience here, we can divide them into 2 in the form of males and non-males, finished and non-finished, and say the 20 minus, 20 below, and 20 plus. There are so many ways of classifying the people here. So likewise, there are so many ways of classifying mind. into two. There are so many ways of classifying them. Okay, let me go through these. Okay. Number one that I like to do is the prime cognizer and non-prime prime cognizer and the non-prime consciousness. Prime cognizer and non-prime cognizers. Non-prime cognizers. Okay. First, prime cognizers and non-prime cognizers. This is the first division of two. Number two is conceptual mind and the non-conceptual mind. Conceptual mind and the non-conceptual mind. Number three is mistaken consciousness and the non-mistaken consciousness. The next one is mental consciousness and the sensory consciousness. Mental consciousness and sensory consciousness. Next one is eliminative engager consciousness and the collective engager consciousness. Eliminative engager consciousness and the collective engager consciousness. Okay, so these are the divisions that I like to go through. And then finally, mind and mental factors. Mind. Okay, Mariela, just check your chat. A Tibetan staff has shared with you these points. Mariela, you can check that. Okay. Okay. First, the prime cognizer and the non-prime cognizer. Prime cognizer, for your information, in Tibetan word is sema. Sema. And in Sanskrit it is praman. 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 Sema. In Tibetan it is sema. In English we translate it as prime cognizers. As prime cognizers. Very good. Thank you. Prime cognizers. Okay, this word, Brahman, this is a very important concept. Brahman, in Tibetan it is Sema. Our mind can be classified into Brahman or Sema versus non-Sema. Those which are, okay, and this Sema or this Sema, in English there are several alternative translations. One is prime cognizers. Number two is valid cognition. Oftentimes people translate it as valid cognition. In other words, what is valid cognition? What is prime cognizers? Are those minds which cognize the object freshly, which is not an imitation, of the earlier knowledges. A mind knowing things freshly. Okay, for example, let's say that, oh, this is a flower. Oh, this is a pen. You have never seen this pen before. Now I show this. Oh yeah, there's a pen there. He's holding a pen. So this is your prime cognition. If you look at it for 5 seconds, first second, mind which sees the pen. Second mind which sees the pen. Third moment of the mind which sees the pen. Fourth, fifth. Of the five, only the first one is the prime cognizer or valid cognition. And the remaining are subsequent cognizers. This is what we have to know. And of the why, the first one is the prime cognizer or the valid cognition. These two are synonymous. And the others are subsequent cognizers. The why the mind is classified into the prime cognizers and the non-prime cognizers is for the reason that prime cognizers are so important in our life. If you really want to have happy life, highly, and not only happy life, highly qualitative happy life, these are all determined by the prime cognizers. So therefore, it is very important to make ourselves rich in prime cognizers. And they try to stay away from the non-prime cognizers. try to get to the prime cognizers as much as possible. These prime cognizers will make us achieve our goals, short-term goals and the long-term goals. What are the short-term goals? Say like, a good meal. Say, the one time, I was in, when I was a student myself in the Damdul monastery, in my monastery there. So there, I have one Indian friend. He was in the city, Hubli city, and he invited me. So why I'm sharing this story is related to the need for people to have a valid cognition or prime cognizers. So one time, my monastery and the city where he lives, there is the distance of 45 minutes driving distance. 45 minutes driving distance. And one time, he invited me. He told me that, okay, Dorji, next Sunday, I'd like to invite you for a lunch in my place. I said, okay. So the next Sunday, I had to go for some work there in that city, and meanwhile, then go for lunch at his place. So I went there. Then he just served me a tea. Then we started chatting, and then it was already 11 o'clock. Still no plan for food, no plan for lunch. Still chatting. Then already 12 o'clock. 12 noon. Still no food. Still no plan for food. Then I just thought, what happened? So he invited me for a lunch, but no preparation for lunch. Then I became so desperate. I told him, I was quite blunt. I told him, what about the food? He said that, okay, I'm going to take you to the restaurant nearby. I said, why? So restaurant, I can go anywhere, anytime. But why today is very special is because you invited me for lunch at your home. And he said that my wife left for her village. So he did not know how to make food. He does not have the value cognition in knowing food, in cooking food. So therefore, without the knowledge of the cooking food, under such situation, you'll become very desperate. So therefore, the knowledge, the value cognition to know things, that is extremely helpful to accomplish one's immediate needs, and then the long-term needs. For example, say the young child studying so well to accumulate knowledge, value cognitions, to eventually complete the school, college, university, and become a professor, and then eventually to become a Nobel laureate in physics, in literature, in medical science, and so forth. So this is all happening because of the value cognition. And then eventually to become a Nobel laureate in peace, Nobel Peace Laureate. So for that, you need a tremendous knowledge, and on that basis, the affective side, very constructive, extremely wholesome, affective side of the mind, to really think of the whole humanity. Not just my family, my country, and my religion, but the whole humanity. Only then you can become the Nobel laureate in peace. So these are all, and then finally, your ultimate happiness, to get into all the fears of life and to have the maximum happiness, the full awakening state, to awaken the Buddha nature within us fully. That's all happening because of the prime cognizers, or the valid cognition, or the sema, or the praman. So that's very important. So this mind and the non-prime consciousness, number one. Number two, conceptual consciousness and the non-conceptual consciousness. This is extremely important. I'd like to spend a little bit of time on this. Okay. Conceptual consciousness and non-conceptual consciousness. Okay, Mariela, would you mind shifting it to the screen, to view all the viewers? Okay, what we do is that we'll do a little bit of exercise. Let us just sit upright and just close your eyes. Just close the eyes. Okay, Mariela, I like to see everybody.
Okay, so I think the gallery view, you should put from your end the gallery view, no?
Gallery. Okay.
Gallery view, that's how I
Okay. Thank you.
understand.
No, I cannot remove the screen. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now I can see all of you to make sure that are you seriously are you seriously with me, or you are just lying down on your couch? Okay, good. Thank you. Good. Okay. Now, okay, just close your eyes. Don't sleep. Don't fall asleep. Just close your eyes and think. Think of your, let's say, think of something which makes you, which is most memorable. Something which is most memorable. Okay, let's think about that. Just think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay, thank you. Now don't forget what you thought. Okay, I have a question to you. Okay. What came to your mind? The Mariela, can you make anybody who likes to give the answer? What came to your mind? What came to your mind when I asked you to think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Anybody?
The image of His Holiness.
Okay, Emilia. So Emilia, you were thinking of the image of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I did not ask you to think of the image of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I asked you to think of the Dalai Lama. I did not ask you to think of the image of the Dalai Lama. I asked you to think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay, Emilia, you are not serious. Okay, anybody? Anybody? What came to your mind?
Peace.
Peace. Okay, that's good. So I did not ask you to think of peace. I asked you to think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Who's that? Vishal. Okay. Yeah. Vishal, thank you. So you saw His Holiness the Dalai Lama as a manifestation of peace.
Symbol of peace. Yeah.
Symbol of peace. That's amazing. So what came to your mind? His Holiness the Dalai Lama came to your mind, or the image of His Holiness the Dalai Lama came to your mind?
No, he came to my mind.
Okay, he came to your mind. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so which means that, where did he sit? He sat next to you, or he sat where?
No, he was preaching.
He was preaching, sitting on your bed or outside the bed?
No, he was speaking and I was listening.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I'm asking, did he enter your house?
No.
Okay, no. Okay, which means that he did not come to you. He did not come to you. The image came to you.
No, I was visiting him.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Vishal. Thank you. Anybody else?
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anybody? Caroline? Yes, Caroline.
Yes.
Caroline Chen, tell me.
Geshe, I'm from Malaysia.
Yes.
I'm a student, and PC too.
Yes. So
I actually, when you asked us to think of Dalai Lama, I was thinking of Dalai Lama holding my hand the first time I was in Dharamsala. We were having a photo session.
Okay.
And I was not aware of the photo session. I just walked past him, he put his hand out. Wow, he held my hand for more than 10 minutes because the whole group gathered up. His hands were so soft. His voice was so deep and clear.
Wonderful, amazing. So he came to your room?
No, we were in Dharamsala.
No. Right now. When I asked you to think when I asked you to think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, what came to your mind?
Memory came to my mind. Sorry.
Sorry? Memory. That memory came to you. Okay. That memory is not His Holiness the Dalai Lama, right?
It's related to Dalai Lama.
Yes, I asked you to think of the Dalai Lama. I did not ask you to think of what is related to the Dalai Lama.
Okay.
Okay. Carolyn, thank you so much. Carolyn, anybody else? Anybody else? Abraham? Ahmed? Remove, unmute. Yes. Yes.
Yes, well, I think when I was thinking, the main thought that came to my mind was, which is similar with other people, it's more of the quality of the holiness of the Dalai Lama, which was compassion.
Okay. So His Holiness did not come to your mind.
Well, his image came to my mind.
Okay, His image came to your mind. He did not come to your mind.
No, not physically.
Okay, so his image came to your mind.
Yes.
So you are thinking of his. So Ahmed, you are thinking of his image.
Yeah.
You are not thinking of him.
Well, his image, not in a physical sense. But
Okay, thank you, Ahmed. Okay, so in fact, maybe Bitila. Bitila, what came to your mind? Yes, Bitila, Singapore. The unmute.
Me?
Yes, yes.
Hear me now? Yeah. Actually, first was the image that came into my mind. Then about his compassion.
Okay.
Earlier speakers say it is compassion and his quality.
Okay. So.
Personally, he is not coming to Singapore.
Okay. Okay. So from this, so basically, we all come to know what Bitila is saying, what Ahmed is saying. We all come to know that the image comes to our mind. The real, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the real one is not coming, but the image is coming when we think. When we think. So that image is known as generic image. That image is known as generic image. We cannot escape the generic image when you think of something. We have to, when we think of something, we must use, we cannot really do away with the image. That image is known as generic image. In Tibetan, it is known as Tunchi. In Tibetan, it is known as Tunchi. Okay, so this is generic image, or the another translation is meaning generality. Meaning generality or generic image. So when we think of something, we say we have to use this generic image, this middle image. For example, say I lost my mother when I was 5 years old. Now, when I think of my mother cannot come because she left the world like the 45 years ago. So now, when I think of my mother, just the image of the mother comes to my mind. That image is known as generic image of the mother. Now, from this, what I'm saying is that what is the difference between conceptual mind and what is the non-conceptual mind? Okay. What is this? Flower. Okay. Now, how do you know that there's a flower there? Okay, you can give me the answer mentally. You can give me the answer mentally. What is there in my hand? Flower. How do you know that there's a flower in my hand? I can see that. I can see that directly. Okay, which means that you have the consciousness, sense consciousness, which sees the flower directly. Okay, whose consciousness is that? Whose consciousness to see the flower is that? Is your consciousness or mine? Is your consciousness. Because it is yours, you keep it there. Don't lose it. Don't lose the eye consciousness seeing the flower. Okay, now I remove the flower. What happened to your eye consciousness seeing the flower? It is also removed. Although it is your eye consciousness, but you cannot retain it because it depends on the external object. Whereas now You think of that flower in my hand. You think of that flower in my hand. You think of that. Okay. Now, if you can now hold this image in your mind as long as you can, as long as you want. So that mind which is now thinks about the flower. It doesn't depend on the external flower. If without the external flower, you can still think of the flower and keep that mind as long as you want. But whereas with the external flower, with the sense consciousness, you can keep it with you as long as it is there. The moment it is gone, your sense consciousness seeing the flower is also gone. So from this, what I'd like to share with you is that this mind, which depends on the external flower, this is non-conceptual mind, and the mind which uses the generic image, the mind which uses the generic image, mental image, that is a conceptual mind. Okay, let me say this again. Conceptual mind is a mind which engages with its main object through the generic image. Let me say this again. A conceptual mind is a mind which engages with its primary object through the generic image. For example, when you say, okay, I'm thinking of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. When I say I'm thinking of him, I think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama through the generic image. I have to use the generic image of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, mental image. I have to use that, and then on that basis, I say that I'm thinking of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This is how it works. So any mind which engages with its primary object through the generic image is known as the conceptual mind. Any mind which engages with its primary object without the generic image is a non-conceptual mind. Okay, this is how we made the distinction. For example, say the flower. Flower, conceptual mind. They're the same. When you see it, it's a non-conceptual mind. When you think about it, it is conceptual. Likewise, say if I'm to make if the engineers or the architects, they are to build a house, first they conceptualize. They create a concept. Conceptualize is not real there. With the conceptualization, then they make it real. They make real non-conceptual. Real has a connotation of non-conceptual. What is just in your thoughts has a connotation of conceptual mind. So conceptual mind versus non-conceptual mind. Okay, say the flower is very easy. A flower, for us to have the non-conceptual mind is very easy because the object is very easy. Let's say that this flower, can you imagine that this flower is made of atoms? Yes, we can imagine that. But can you keep thinking about it, that is made of a bunch of atoms, keep thinking about it all the time? Very difficult, because that to see it as a flower is easy. To see it as a bunch of atoms is not that easy. So likewise, to see that this as a flower which is as independent there, so independent there, versus so objectively there, versus the flower coming as a mental projection, like a dream. Mental projection. To see this as a objectively there is very easy. To see this as coming from the mind, like a dream, that's very difficult. Even after knowing that this is what I'm seeing is not really there. In fact, the neuroscientist, last year when I was in Israel for the conference on consciousness, there was a neuroscientist, and he was asking me as to how can we control our emotions. Then I was talking about the cognitive side of the mind. Emotions are more the affective side. How to manage the cognitive side to manage the affective. And I was trying to explain that on cognitive side we can rectify the cognitive thinking to see that what we are seeing is not the reality. He said that I know. That I know. What I'm seeing is not the reality. Guaranteed. That I know. I don't have to study any philosophy. Through neuroscience, I can say that what I'm seeing is not reality. Okay. So the point is that say that what I'm seeing is not the reality. What I'm seeing, for example, this is a flower. objectively flower there. This objective flower coming there. This is something so obvious. This is what is happening to our mind all the time. But then that this flower does not exist the way it appears to me, the way this neuroscientist is saying, that this flower does not exist the way it appears to me. This is very difficult. And he says that how can we sustain that? We cannot sustain it. This is what he says. Because the object is very subtle. As the object becomes subtler, it becomes more difficult for us to sustain it. Okay, my question to you. Okay, first, let me say that, okay, what is there in my hand? Nothing is there. Now what is there in my hand? Flower is there. Okay, now what is there in my hand? Nothing is there. Right? Okay. Is there flower? No. Is there absence of flower? Yes. So it's not nothing is there. There's absence of flower there. Absence of flower is there. Let us not forget this. With this, I will ask you a few questions. What is this? Pen. What is this? Okay, I'd like to ask this. Mariela, I'd like to ask this question, and people should give me the answer instead of me speculating your answers. Okay, let's say Christopher. What is this?
It's a paper.
Piece of paper. Okay, Changjula. What is this?
It's a flower design.
Flower. Okay. And then we have the Karita. What is this? Book. Okay, Karita, this is book. And then we have okay. Then let's go to Australian Changjula. Australian Changjula. What is this? Water. Okay. Okay. Then the Anna from Russia. What is this?
Singing ball.
Singing ball. Very good. And then finally, Leorala, Israel. What is this? Mask. Very good. Okay, look. You all gave the answers. Nobody said that. What is this? This is non-flower. What is this? This is non-flower. This is non-mask. What is this? This is non-flower. Nobody said it. It's just a book, the singing ball, the mask, then there was the paper, the pen. We all give the answer the way it appears to us. While this is not just a flower, this is absence of book also. There are so many things on this, but we are so addicted to seeing, believing things the way it appears to us. As a flower, as a pen, as a book, as a singing ball. We don't see other things. So this is where our mind is so addicted to looking at things the way they appear to us. Now from this, so with this, what is happening is that our mind, our conceptual mind, it creates the image there, then one particular image. Then on that basis, then this conceptual mind becomes active. So from what we said is that, okay, this is a flower. This flower. This is electrons, protons, neutrons. Of the two, the first one is more difficult. Second one is very subtle. For us to maintain that experience, that this is a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons, is more difficult. So our mind, we see that our mind can progress. Our mind has to be improved, trained to see objects from the gross to the subtler. This is one thing. Then number 2 is that our mind, as let's say that I think so that part we'll explain a little later. For the time being, I'd like to explain this one, the conceptual mind versus the non-conceptual mind. Conceptual mind are those minds which engage with its object through the generic image. If you get it, for example, like say, okay, there must be a fire there because I can see the smoke. There must be a fire there. This is what you're thinking. This is not what you're seeing. This is what you're thinking. So that is a conceptual mind. This conceptual mind. So this conceptual mind, eventually, for example, let's say that you are seeing this as the flower, not as a bunch of atoms, but conceptually you know that it's made of atoms. Later on, through practice, we have to practice to such extent that this mind, the fact that the other side of this fact, that is just a bunch of atoms, which you now know only conceptually, not directly. This must be upgraded to the direct realization, where the way you see the flower, you should be able to see the bunch of atoms directly. So this is how we have to improve our mind, right? From the conceptual to the non-conceptual. So for that matter, we have to know how the mind works. Conceptual mind, non-conceptual mind. Okay. The next one is mistaken consciousness and non-mistaken consciousness. This is again an extremely important thing for us to know. This is extremely important. Mistaken mind and a non-mistaken mind. I like to share the Tibetan words for this. Mistaken is tulshe. Mistaken mind is tulshe. Tulshe in Tibetan. Tulshe. And the non-mistaken mind is matulpe shelpa. Matulpa. Tulpa, matulpa. Okay, this is the very important concept that we all will learn today. The mistaken, the tulshe, which for the time being, I translate it as the mistaken mind, and the word as opposed to non-mistaken minds. Okay, in English, I'm just a little apprehensive whether or not there is a very precise word to refer to this Tibetan word tulshe and matulve shepa. So, but don't worry. The purpose of the language is for us to know the concept. If you know the concept, that fulfills the purpose. So therefore, you will know the concept. I'm going to explain the concept. On that basis, you will know what I'm referring to. Okay. Imagine that the Mariela takes us to Mount Kailash. Imagine that Mariela takes us to Mount Kailash, and then the Mount Kailash, she says that is a very sacred mountain, and then but you should be careful with we should be careful with the glare. So for that matter, you have to put on the glasses. So all the glasses that we put on, they are the blue glasses. They are blue glasses. With the blue glasses, you look at the mountain. What do you see? You see blue snow, or you will see white snow. You will see blue snow. Then if I ask you, okay, what is the color of the snow? You will say white snow. But you are seeing blue, you will say that this is mistaken. My eye consciousness is mistaken due to the glasses. Because the glasses are blue, I'm seeing the snow is blue. Actually, the snow is not blue, snow is white. This is very important. Now, let's say that what is in my left hand? You will say a flower. And how do you know that there's a flower there? I can see it. So which means that your eye consciousness, and there's interaction happening between your eye consciousness and this flower. Do you agree with me or not? You agree with me that there's interaction happening between your I consciousness and this flower. There's interaction happening. So this interaction, there's no phenomenon known as interaction there. It's just the two actions, act of appearance and the act of engaging. These two activities, they connect the flower and your consciousness. These two activities, act of appearance, act of appearing, and the act of engagement. Let's say that the flower appears to me, the object appears to me. The subject does not appear to the object. Object appears to the subject. Number one. The subject engages with the object. The object does not engage with the subject. Object does not apprehend the subject. Subject apprehends the object. You agree with me? This is very important. One is the act of appearance, act of appearing, which is related to the object. Object appears to me. I don't appear to the object. Number one. Number two, act of apprehension. My mind apprehends the object. Object does not apprehend the subject. Subject apprehends the object. So the act of apprehension is done by the subject. Act of appearance is related to the object. You're getting it? So there's act of appearance, act of appearing, and act of apprehension. Act of appearance related to the object, act of apprehension related to the subject. Let us not forget this. Now, when you look at this flower, there's interaction happening between your consciousness, your I consciousness, and the flower. Likewise, when you're looking at the Mount Kailash, there's the act of there's interaction happening between your mind and the Mount Kailash as the object. There's interaction happening. So this interaction involves two things. One is Mount Kailash appears to you. Number two, your mind apprehends Mount Kailash. You're getting it? So when you put on the blue glasses, the Mount Kailash appears as blue to you. Blue. That is mistaken or not mistaken? That is mistaken. Whereas you would say that, oh, Mount Kailash is blue. You will not say that. You say that Mount Kailash is white. Mount Kailash is white, but you are saying it's blue. Yes, this is because of my blue glasses. So the Mount Kailash appears as blue, that is mistaken, but your mind apprehends Mount Kailash as white. That is not erroneous. So act of apprehension is not erroneous, but the act of appearance is erroneous. You're getting it? Let me say this again. Your mind, when it interacts with Mount Kailash appears to you, and your mind apprehends the Mount Kailash. So there are two actions through which you interact with Mount Kailash. So see, when you put on the blue glasses, which of the two actions can be erroneous? You see the Mount Kailash appears as blue. That is erroneous or not? Yes, that is erroneous. So the act of appearance is erroneous, but you apprehend the Mount Kailash as white. So act of apprehension is correct. So your mind is mistaken with respect to the act of appearance. And whereas, okay, how many of you banged against a mirror? Raise hands. How many banged against the mirror? Ash, Tenzidamala, Anna Tenzidama, who else? Okay, Bertil. Okay, how many bangs against? Most of us bangs against the. Okay, yes. Josh, yes. Okay, so it seems like we all bangs again. Okay, okay, Josh, why did you bang against the mirror?
You did not see the mirror.
Exactly. Okay, it's not that the George they found it fun to bang against the mirror to see what it is like. No, because he did not see a mirror there. He saw what he saw there. He must have seen an open space there. Actually, there's no open space there. That open space was the reflection of the open space behind him. So, then what he says open space, that was just the image. This is not the real open space. Image. He saw the image as real. And not only the image appeared as real, but he thought that the image is real. That he thought that appearance was a mistake and apprehension also mistaken. So he went there and bangs against the mirror. Okay, so there in this case, the appearance-wise erroneous plus apprehension also erroneous. So that mind, so a mind can be mistaken in two ways. A mind can be mistaken with respect to the object of appearance or with the object of apprehension. When the mind say, okay, for your information, all our conceptual minds. Now you know what conceptual mind is. All our conceptual minds, the minds which use the generic image to get to the main object. All our conceptual minds are mistaken with respect to the act of appearance. All our conceptual minds are mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. They may not be mistaken with respect to object of apprehension. Some are mistaken, some are not. But all conceptual minds are necessarily mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. This is very important for us to know. How? Say compassion. Wisdom of emptiness. Conceptual wisdom of emptiness. Even if it is a wisdom of emptiness, but it can still be, say, it can be mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. And if compassion, say, all our, say, for the people like us, ordinary beings like us, compassion, the wisdom of emptiness, they are all conceptual all the time. They are all conceptual, and they are all, because they are conceptual, they are mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. Okay, this is what we have to know. So from this, what we are learning is that a mistaken mind is a mind which is mistaken with respect to the object of appearance. For example, putting on the blue glasses, the snow appears as white. The snow appears as white. And blue, what? The red appears as green. Because red and blue come together. Red and blue mix together. No. What is yellow and blue? Yellow and blue mix, then it appears as green. So this is, say, the appearance. Where the appearance is mistaken, this is known as mistaken mind. Now for our information, this is very important. We began by saying that finally what we want is we want happiness, we want to get rid of all the sufferings. And the happiness that we seek and the suffering which we want to get rid of, they are all mental experiences. And these experiences, particularly the suffering, the experience of suffering, they are rooted to the ignorance. Okay, now let us pay more attention. Now I'm taking you to the technical side. Technical side, very important side. What we learned is that all our miseries, somehow, they are all created by their causes. What causes? Finally, ignorance and the subtle stains of the ignorance. The ignorance and its offshoots, they are known as the afflictive obscurations. The solid garlic, example of the solid garlic, and the subtle stains, example of the smell of the garlic. The subtle stains. So the solid garlic-like mental stains, they stop us from experiencing fearlessness. Solid garlic-like mental stains, they attract all the miseries. So therefore we have the fears of life. Whereas the smell of the garlic, they do not attract miseries, but they stop us from becoming omniscient. Smell of the garlic, also referred to as a cognitive obscuration. Smell of the garlic-like mental stains, they do not attract miseries, but they stop us from experiencing omniscience. They stop us from becoming fully awakened, which is known as the cognitive obscurations. Okay, now what I'd like to share with you is that, okay, now suddenly I'm going to relate the erroneous, the mistaken mind. Mistaken, there are two. What are they? the mind which is mistaken with respect to the act of appearance, and a mind which is mistaken with respect to the act of apprehension. Okay, my question to you, before we wind up this class, my question to you, Mariela, I request you to unmute all of them so that people can give me an answer. Okay, my question to you is, okay, let's say, I just imagine that we have never seen snow. We have never seen snow, and we never know what the snow is like. We never heard about snow. And suddenly, the Mariela said that I'm going to take you to see snow in Mount Kailash. And then you say, what is snow? What is snow? And Mariela said, don't worry, you get there, you will know what snow is. And then, but be careful with the glare. You put on these glasses. So she gives us the pair of blue glasses. We put on the blue glasses, we go there. For the first time we are seeing snow. What snow is that? We see a blue snow. Okay. Now, my question to you. Imagine that you are that person. I ask you, what's the color of snow? You will say blue. Okay. So this mind, with this mind within you, which makes you think that the snow is blue, is that mistaken with respect to appearance or not? Yes, yes. If yes, then nod your head. Good. Okay, is that mistaken with respect to the object of apprehension? Okay, object appears to you, that appearance. Object appears, that is erroneous. It appears as blue. Now your mind apprehends it as blue, yes, no. Yes, which means your mind is mistaken not only with the appearance, it is also mistaken with the apprehension. You agree? Good. Now my next question to you, my real question is, which is easier to be removed? Erroneous appearance or the erroneous apprehension? Which is easier to be removed? Anybody? Anybody? Raise a hand. Josh? Unmute. Okay, let's say that if your answer is erroneous with the appearance is number one, erroneous with then number two. Okay, so your mind is erroneous with one or two. Okay, say one, raise hands. Okay, with appearance. Okay, my question, I'm distracted. My question is, which of the two is easier to be removed? One is easier or two is removed? Easier. Okay, just raise hands those who said one. One is that the act of appearance is easier to be removed. One, raise hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now raise hands those who said number two is more easy. Number two, act of apprehension. Mistaken act of appearance. Okay, very good. Okay. So, what's the correct answer? What do you think is the correct answer? What do you think is the correct answer? Okay. Number two is the correct answer. Number two is the correct answer. That it is easier to get rid of the error with respect to the act of apprehension. That is easier to be removed. That is grosser. And the error with respect to the act of appearance, that is subtler, is much more difficult to be gotten rid of. Okay, once you know that, we talk about the two mental defilements, two mental dirt, which block the gold inside us, which block the gold of the Buddha niche inside us. So there are two. One is the gross garlic, solid garlic-like, and the other one is smell of the garlic-like. Solid garlic-like, that is referred to as the afflictive obscurations, and the smell of the garlic-like referred to as the cognitive obscurations. The first one, afflictive obscurations, gross one, the job of that is to attract all the miseries. So therefore, you will not achieve liberation or nirvana. You will not achieve nirvana. Whereas the second one, the smell of the garlic-like, known as the cognitive obscuration, that stop you from becoming fully awakened. That will not attract miseries, but it will stop you from becoming omniscient. So that is known as cognitive obscurations. Okay, now we have to relate these two. Mistaken with respect to the act of appearance, mistaken with the act of apprehension. Which of the two is grosser? The number one is grosser, number two is grosser. Which is grosser? One or two? Number one is grosser. The one is the act of appearance. Number two is the mistake with the act of apprehension. Which is grosser? Act of mistake with the act of apprehension is grosser, or the mistake with the act of appearance is grosser? Number two is grosser? Okay, how many of you say number one is grosser? Okay, Sumitra, number one. Okay, Ash. Okay, how many of you say number two is grosser? Okay, most of you. Number two is grosser, that's true. Number two is grosser? Okay, so number two is the afflictive obscurations. Number one is cognitive obscurations. So, mistake with respect to the act of appearance is related to the cognitive obscuration, and mistake with respect to the act of apprehension, that is related to the afflictive obscurations. Okay, this is a little technical, and particularly those of us who are not really exposed to the afflictive, cognitive, and so forth, don't worry too much. Don't worry too much about that part. But still, I would, if you are a little confused with this, I would really encourage you to study more of this psychology in more detail. At the moment, I'm really rushing through this. I'm not really going into too detail, and if possible, later on, I would highly, if you feel interested that this is something which I have to study more detail, there's a scope there. We have the Nalanda Master's course, we have Nalanda Diploma course, the undertaking of Tibet House, Delhi. So you can join us for these two courses. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. Questions? Any questions? Mariela?
Yes, Geshe-la, I'll start the video again. Yeah, sorry, I've had to keep the video away because I'm trying to
translate. Yes, Mariela has been so kind to translate to 3 other people.
I don't want to see me going like, so that's why. But I don't see any questions in the chat area, but please.
Okay, anybody just raise your hands? Just raise your hands if you have. Okay, Josh.
Unmute, please.
Okay, unmute.
Unmute you.
So you mentioned about the sevenfold division of mind.
Yes.
And number 1 and number 2, which is direct valid perceiver and inferential cognizer. And in Buddhism, these are usually the 2 pramanas used.
Yes,
in,
yes.
Buddhism. So what techniques would you recommend, for example, if we are undergoing some kind of challenges or hardship to have, to have this number 1 or number 2, or maybe number 1, direct valid cognition, any kind of techniques or tools which we can bring to mindfulness very quickly to overcome the growing of afflictive emotions or cognitive dissonance?
Okay. So basically, the idea is that the application side, George, you are asking about the application side of the Buddhist psychology. So this is what we're going to do on session 3 or session 4. So that is the application side. This is very important. For particularly the psychology, we must know how to apply this in our day-to-day life. For that matter, we have the other divisions coming. Now, particularly the divisions of the mind pertaining to the mind and the mental factors. That is where the application side is. We'll go into the application side, session 3 or session 4. Any more questions?
Rebecca has a question. Yes, please unmute yourself. Rebecca. Ari-Pekka ei onnistu saamaan itseään. Okay. Ja Ari-Pekka kyllä. Saying he cannot unmute himself for some reason, but
okay.
Laitatko Ari-Pekka sen sun kysymyksen sitten tekstillä sinne, niin mä voin sen lukea sun puolesta. I asked him to send it. And there's VK, please, VK.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You spoke about some courses at the end of the session.
Yes.
Those are like, what is the duration of it and whether they are full-time or it has to be online courses?
Okay. So basically, it's both ways. The regular course as well as online course. Both possible options are there. But at the moment, because of the coronavirus, is only online. And the first one, Nalanda Master's course, it is for 4 years. So the first batch is still going on. And the first batch may extend to 5 years. Then the second one, which is Nalanda Diploma course, which is just for 1 year. So first batch is done. Now we are halfway through the second batch. Second batch halfway through. And it's only ideally for 1 year, but it's little over 1 year. 1 year, 2 months, 1 year, 3 months. Yeah.
Is there any age limit for it or any qualification required?
Okay, so no qualification required. Only qualification required is that the interest
okay,
and consistency. These two are the qualifications required.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And then there is one question from Israel there. I can see. I cannot read Hebrew, so I don't know your name. But please, I've asked you to unmute.
Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. My question is, with respect to compassion, is compassion an affective or cognitive?
Okay. This is a very good question. Thank you so much. Compassion, no doubt, is affective. Affective, but it must be supported. It depends on the cognitive side, cognitive element of the mind. Depending on how profound the cognitive, that determines how profound the affective compassion is. It is affective. Yeah, thank you.
And now I have Ari-Pekka's question here, which is that can awareness be aware of itself directly?
Okay, this is extremely complicated question. Okay, so my answer is yes, it can. Awareness can be aware of itself directly. Answer is yes. But let's say that, okay, is it Karita? Who is that?
This is Ari-Pekka. He's from Finland, but there seems to be some connection problem with him, so he wasn't able to unmute.
Ari-Pekka.
So Ari-Pekka.
Okay.
Yes.
Ari-Pekka, let's say all of us. Okay, all of us look at me, and if Ari-Pekka, you can view me. Just see what I'm doing. What I'm doing? I'm patting myself. Is it true? Yes, that's very true. That's very true that I'm patting myself. But if I go into the technicalities, if I go into very subtle exploration, what pats is my hand, what is patted is my shoulder. My shoulder and my hand, these two are not one. These two are different. So conventionally, we say that I'm patting myself, but when you go into detail, we see that what pats and what is patted, these two are different. Likewise, say, conventionally, we can say that my awareness is aware of itself. Last time for the Israeli group, Dharma Friends of Israel, for them, we did this awareness of awareness meditation. The meditation on the emptiness of the mind. First, the awareness, then followed by the emptiness of the awareness. We did that. So this is awareness is on the conventional sense, where your awareness, your mind is aware of the mind itself. So this is true, perfectly true, is on the conventional level. We said, oh, okay, he's hitting himself. He's hitting himself. That's true. But if we can go into detail, we could go into more subtle. Going subtler, we say that my mind is hitting, and what is being hit was my shoulder. So these two are different. Likewise, say the awareness of the awareness. Say the awareness, yes, I'm aware. My own awareness or my mind is aware of itself. Yes, if you go into more detail, then we can speak about the second moment of the awareness, being aware of the first moment of the awareness. So conventionally, we can say that yes, my consciousness is aware of itself. That's very true. Thank you. More questions? More questions?
Any hands up? But Christophe has a question. Yes, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Christophe La. Yes.
Sometimes I heard a story like, when the Spanish people came to the South America, they came sometimes on a horse, riding a horse, and the Indian people, they thought it was the god with two heads. So when they put their feet on the earth, on the ground, then the appearance, they could see two individuals, that their conception, they say, oh, these gods will disappear, will die because they are separated in two individuals. So sometimes it seems that the appearance can be easier to the wrong appearance can be easier to discard than the conception or the apprehension. We cannot believe what we see, in one sense.
Oh, we cannot believe what we see.
Yeah, sometimes. Maybe, I don't know how. Sometimes we cannot believe what we see. For instance, if someone has always believed that the snow is blue from
Yes.
the beginning, then we put out the glass, the blue glass, and we see the white snow, but we cannot believe that. We say, oh no, it has to be blue snow. Okay, Christophe. Okay, so the Christophe is okay. So this we have to discuss more. Let's say that let's say that in the convention. Let's say okay. The keeping aside the technicalities in our day-to-day life. The one time, what happened was that. Okay, let's say you see these. You see the robe. You see robe as a snake. Robe is a snake. It appears as a snake. And then first you believe that it is snake. And later on, the person says that this is just the robe. This is just a robe. And then this is not a snake. Right? So the point is that, and then likewise, you say with the blue glasses, and the white light, put on the blue glass, you see it as blue. Remove the blue glass, again it appears as white. So in the conventional, in the everyday life, we see that the cognition, even if once you know that this light is white, you put on the blue glasses, again it appears blue. Appearance-wise, so in the conventional sense, we see that the appearance is the more difficult to get rid of, and the apprehension is easier to be gotten rid of. In other words, technically speaking, for all of us, any mind which is mistaken with respect to the appearance may not be mistaken with respect to the apprehension. Any mind which is mistaken with respect to the apprehension must be mistaken with respect to the appearance. Let us not forget this. Okay, let us not forget that. For example, let's say any girl should be a human being. All human beings may not be girls. All girls should be human beings, but human beings may not be girls. All human beings may not be girls. Likewise, all mind which are mistaken with respect to the appearance may not be mistaken with respect to the apprehension. Any mind which is mistaken with respect to the apprehension must be mistaken with respect to the appearance. Let us not forget this. This is the very standard position. Thank you, Christopher. Any more questions?
Yes, Geshe, there is Sui Kim who wants to ask a question.
Yes. Okay, Sui Kim.
Actually, still with respect to that point that you just mentioned, Geshe, I thought appearing object is grosser than object is apprehended by the mind. I mean, is a subsequent cognizer, is generic in nature. So I thought it would be more difficult to apprehend and it would be more difficult to get rid of.
Okay, so in fact, the Sui Kim La, you are touching several points. One is the object appearance, object apprehension, generic image, and then the what? Subsequent cognizers. Okay, the object of apprehension, okay, object of appearance and object of apprehension. Okay, this is very important. They say your conceptual mind thinking of the flower. Conceptual mind thinking of the flower. What appears to your mind is the generic image of the flower, but your mind apprehends the flower. So the flower becomes the object of apprehension of your mind, and the generic image of the flower becomes the object of appearance of your mind. So this mind is mistaken with respect to the object of appearance, the generic image, not mistaken with the flower. So it thinks about the flower, and that's there, that's really there. But the object appearance, the generic image appears, and the mind, to the mind, is supposed to be thinking of the flower, but the generic image of the flower, and the flower, these two come as mix. So that way, your mind is mistaken. In reality, these two are not mixed. But these two appear as mixed to your mind. So therefore, the object appears in a mistaken way, but of the two, the mind apprehends only the flower, not the generic image of the flower. So the apprehension wise, it is accurate. Appearance wise, it is mistaken. For example, let's say anger. This person is very bad. This person is very bad. When you think of this person is very bad. So what is happening is that this person, first of all, this person appears as independently real. And then the independent real and independently harming you. Then later on, people say that, okay, so let's say that this person with this kind of the facial appearance, physical dress, that person is very bad. And then next time when you see that person with this physical appearance, okay, now the bad person has come. Why? Oh, look at that person's physical shape, the dress. This is how I got the description that the person is bad. You see that? And you say, oh, now the person is bad. Your emotional reaction is very different. There's anger coming. Then later on, then somebody comes, like Mariela comes and says that it has nothing to do with, that this dress and this figure has nothing to do with the badness. It's your mental creation. You just mix with this person, you will see that this person is the most kind person on this earth. And then you mix with this person, the person is indeed so kind.
then you realize that, okay, now I see the same person with the same appearance, the physical appearance, the dress and so forth, but your anger has changed from anger to compassion or feeling closeness. So their appearance remains the same, but your perception, your projection of the person to be bad is removed. So their act of appearance in a distorted way, that is so difficult to be okay, to put it in the application side, and many of us who are new to this concept, you may feel little the loss. Don't worry about it. We will go into more detail tomorrow for the application side. Don't worry too much about that for the time being. Let's say that say everything is like a dream, meaning like a movie. When you watch a movie, the movie is seen on the screen, but it's not in the screen. It is projected by the projector behind you. It appears on the screen, but it's not from the screen. It's from the projector. This is reality. But while it is from the screen, while it is from the projector, you see it as from the screen. Likewise, everything is seen as from the screen. From there, nothing from your mind is like the projector. You don't see anything as being projected by your mind. You see them as all coming from the object. This is mistaken. Now, what happens is that when you see that everything's coming from your subject, nothing's from the object, when you realize this to a certain point, to the extent that you are not affected by the external objects anymore, at that point, your mind is freed from afflictions. Your mind is freed from self-grasping ignorance. Your mind is freed from all fears of life. Okay. Now your mind is free from all fears of life, no apprehension of things as objectively real. When you see things as objectively real, when you apprehend things as objectively real, then the fear arises. When that stops, then the fear dissolves. But you will continue to see things as objectively real. Although you know that the snow is white, but you put on the blue glasses, automatically you continue to see the snow as blue. So the act of the appearance, distorted act of appearance, that is way more difficult to be gotten rid of as compared to getting rid of the distortion of the apprehension. Okay, this is a very important point. I would say this is the crux of our 5-session the Buddhist psychology class. Of course, we'll go into more detail in the following classes, particularly those others. Please don't worry about that. Please don't worry if you get a little lost here, because I thought that it's just like it's going to be very intense. And then knowing that many of the people are from the earlier Bodhicitta retreats, from India, from Malaysia, from Singapore, and then from Finland, France, Italy. So from there, I can see that many of you are already exposed to this. So therefore, I just was trying to solidify things, and I realized that there are several of the people who are new to this. And don't worry, tomorrow will be relatively easier. Not too easy, relatively easier. Okay, more questions?
I don't see any more questions, Geshe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I saw one little girl there.
Yes, Rinzinla.
Hello.
Where is Rinzinla?
Karita, can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, Rinzinla, Tashidele, Rinzinla. Rinzinla, do you see your dad? Pamela? Okay, Rinzinla, I still have your Buddha frame with me. I still have your Buddha scratch with me on my altar. Thank you. Thank you.
Hänellä on vieläkin sun tekemä Buddha-kuva. Muistaakseni tein sen hienon Buddha-piirroksen, niin Geshellä on vieläkin se huoneessansa.
She's a great artist. She drew the Buddha image so well. Yeah, it's still on my altar. Yeah. Thank you, Rinzila. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay, so we'll do the end direction prayer.
Yes.
End direction prayer. Okay.
is on page 288. Page 288. Okay. And let us dedicate the marriage thus gathered, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. Let us also pray that all the leaders of the world, they learn from His Holiness the Dalai Lama how to work on dialogue, how to work on, the promoting brotherhood, sisterhood amongst the people of the world, not to deliberately go into wars, not to deliberately go into, the fighting, creating problems on the people of the other countries. Let us pray that the leaders, they get sense, they learn the sense from His Holiness the sense of oneness of the great family of the world, the sense of the brotherhood, sisterhood of the whole world, that these leaders, they learn from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Let us pray that it happens. Also, let us pray that the coronavirus, the outbreak of the pandemic of COVID-19, that soon the vaccine, the medication is developed, and then the people can really be freed from the fears of coronavirus, that people will all go back to the normal chores of their life, and all the education institutions, businesses, the workers, employers, employees, and the environment, and everybody will go back to their normalcy. They enjoy the fresh breath of normalcy, the fresh breath of the peace and harmony, brotherhood, sisterhood. And let I personally dedicate the marriage thus gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort in the study of the Buddhist psychology and the philosophy, that each one of you becomes such a beacon of light, the beacon of hope for the rest of the world, and that you become such a guide to liberate all beings to the ultimate state of happiness and the state of fearlessness. May the teaching on bodhicitta, the unconditional love towards all other dear mother sentient beings, flourish. May the teaching on the wisdom of emptiness to see the reality in its subtlest form to thrive in the minds of all dear mother sentient beings, present and future. With that in mind, let's turn to the dedication prayer, page 288. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful, generous, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samadhi too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of three times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I, in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from four wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the two stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha of my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspicious proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of unity, emptiness, and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the land of snows. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds
of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisvatyata 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 Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisvatyata. Okay, thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you so much, Geshe.
Thank you, thank you. See you tomorrow. See you all tomorrow. Lasso Chanchula, Tuchana, Lasso.